In this series, I'll explore how Pendragon brings the same deep, engaging experience found in your favorite epic adventures, whether in films, books, or video games. By comparing Pendragon to the experiences you already enjoy, I'll show you how it stands out and why it's worth experiencing. John Boorman's Excalibur immerses viewers in the epic, mythic scope of the Arthurian saga, starting with the mystical rise of Arthur, born from the tragic flaws and ambitions of his father Uther, and leading to the inevitable fall of Camelot. The film powerfully explores the tension between destiny, prophecy, and personal failings. So what is Pendragon? Pendragon is a tabletop role-playing game centered around the chivalric lives of knights in Arthurian Britain. Players take on the roles of noble knights engaged in quests, battles, and courtly intrigue, all while upholding the ideals of chivalry, such as honor, loyalty, and valor. Pendragon was created by the late great Greg Stafford in 1985. It's owned by Chaosium Games, the creators of Call of Cthulhu. A tabletop RPG is collaborative storytelling where you create a character, make choices, and shape epic adventures. It's immersive, creative, and entirely yours. Excalibur trades much of the Arthurian myth's fey and otherworldly elements for a more solemn and theatrical interpretation, evoking the feeling of watching a Shakespearean masterpiece unfold on screen. Pendragon captures the same mythic tone by rooting its mechanics and narratives in the rise and fall of King Arthur's court. Players experience a generational journey living through the golden age of Camelot and its inevitable decline, echoing the sweeping drama of the movie. The film portrays deeply human characters like Arthur, Lancelot, and Guinevere, who are as defined by their virtues as their failings. The betrayal, love, and ambition in Excalibur makes the legendary figures relatable. In Pendragon, players navigate the tension between vices like pride, lustful, and vengeful, and their counterparts, modest, chaste, and forgiving. This dynamic mirrors the tragic heroism of Excalibur, where personal choices shape the path to either glory or ruin. In Pendragon, passions like love, loyalty, and hate drive characters' decisions and actions, reflecting the same intense, dramatic motivations that define the characters of Excalibur, whether it's Lancelot's love for Guinevere, Arthur's loyalty to Camelot, or Morgana's hate-fueled schemes. These emotions fuel the epic highs and tragic lows of the story. In Excalibur, Merlin's cryptic wisdom, the power of Excalibur itself, and the ethereal presence of the Lady of the Lake infuse the movie with an otherworldly sense of wonder. The game incorporates the same mysticism through encounters with fairies, pagan magic, and Christian miracles. These elements provide a sense of otherworldly significance, much like Excalibur's portrayal of the Sword in the Stone and the Grail quest. The film emphasizes the inevitability of fate, whether it's Arthur's rise, the love triangle between Lancelot and Guinevere, or the destruction of Camelot. Pendragon mirrors this through the emphasis on the player's roles with larger stories. Whether following Arthur's reign or forging their own path, players are always aware of their greater destiny at work, a fate that they can influence but never fully escape. The movie romanticizes the ideals of knighthood, valor, loyalty, and sacrifice, while also exploring how they can falter under human failings. At its heart, Pendragon is about the knightly experience. It challenges players to embody the ideals of chivalry while navigating the tensions between personal desires and their duties as knights, echoing the moral struggle seen in Excalibur. Now that we've covered why Pendragon is worth playing, let's explore how to frame your game to capture the tone and feel of Boorman's Excalibur. Forget Salisbury. Excalibur skips the land-holding details in favor of pure drama. Your knight should be at the heart of the king's court, whether they begin with Uther's tragic downfall or when the boy pulls a sword from the stone. For this campaign, skip the deep dive into the Great Pendragon campaign and focus on key periods that mirror the epic drama of Excalibur: the fall of Uther, the boy king's conquest, the high period of Arthur's reign with romance and tournaments, the Grail quest, and the last ride of the Round Table. These chapters encompass Excalibur, from rise to ruin. If you clicked on this link, I'm assuming that you already have seen John Boorman's Excalibur, but if you haven't, you should go see it. For one, it will make this way easier to digest, and secondly, it's just a great film. Be warned, from here on out, this will get a bit spoilery. Uther Pendragon, the tragic, flawed king whose reckless desire for Grail and the resulting betrayal lead to the kingdom's unraveling. His death is the catalyst for the chaos that follows. Merlin, the wise sorcerer who aids Uther in his schemes, using magic to disguise Uther's identity and ensuring the birth of Arthur. His role in Uther's downfall is one of manipulation and foresight. He knows what Arthur will become. Grail, Duke of Cornwall, the wronged husband, whose death, brought on by Uther's false war, sets in motion the fall of Camelot. His death leaves behind Morgana, his daughter, whose future is shaped by this tragedy. Grail is a sorrowful figure, her love for Grail sacrificed to Merlin's plan, her fate sealed in the shadows as Arthur's legacy is born. Young Morgana is portrayed as precious and almost unnervingly wise beyond her years. She exhibits quiet, unsettling maturity, even as a child. This is made apparent very early on when she asks Merlin, "Are you both the mother and the father of the baby, Merlin?" For Fall of Uther, have your players take on elder knights with young heirs, so their characters are around the same age as Arthur and Morgana, setting the stage for a generational shift. The Fall of Uther is a grim, fog-shrouded era of faded glory. Worn knights, crumbling castles, and the shadow of prophecy loom over a kingdom in decay, driven by fate, betrayal, and magic. For the Fall of Uther, create battle-worn knights aged 25 to 50, each gaining 100 glory for every year they age past 21. Starting at 1,000 plus 3d20 glory, these seasoned warriors are defined by their deeds, not their past. This age is brief, just a few sessions, marked by a fleeting peace between Cornwall's tyrannical invasion, sparked by trumped-up charges that will test the knight's loyalty, honor, and fate. If this character falls, it's no great loss. Their heir is already secured, ensuring the legacy lives on, no matter how tragic the end. Boy King kicks off with Arthur, a young, unproven squire, unaware of his royal lineage, caught between the chaos of his destiny and his reluctance to accept the burden of kingship. Kay, Arthur's older, more brash foster brother, always seeking to prove himself and initially dismissive of Arthur's true potential. Wouldn't you be if your whiny younger brother all of a sudden became your king? Ector, the kind-hearted foster father, unaware of Arthur's divine origins, who raises him with love and instills him with values of nobility and honor. Merlin returns as a wise and enigmatic wizard who orchestrates Arthur's rise, guiding him towards the sword and the mantle of leadership. Leondegrance, a lesser king and victor of the sword tournament. He is unable to pull the sword from the stone, but quick to bend the knee to the boy king, who easily retrieves the sword twice. Uriens, a knight of great quality who is defiant to the boy king, and proves to be his greatest nemesis until defeated. He knights Arthur, and will carry on as a loyal knight of the Round Table. And finally Guinevere, a young unaware princess of Leondegrance's Camelot, whose life will soon intertwine with Arthur's, though she remains untouched by the full weight of the events during this period. Part 2, The Round Table's Rise. Lancelot, the perfect knight in shining armor, defeated by Arthur through the breaking of Excalibur. He is thrilled to find a king worthy of his loyalty, and quick to bend the knee to his king and future best friend. The Lady of the Lake, the mysterious figure who gifts Arthur the reforged sword, Excalibur, a defined weapon that symbolizes Arthur's right to rule through his virtue. It is only in his humility that the sword is reforged. Morgana, now a grown woman beginning to show signs of the sight, she unites with her half-brother in Camelot, while she desperately seeks Merlin as a tutor, never forgetting what Merlin and Uther did to her family. This period winds down with the meeting of Lancelot and Guinevere, where it becomes evident of their love at first sight, and comes to a close with Arthur and Guinevere's wedding. Camelot's high period is marked by a golden age of peace. There's no wars. Merlin sits as an advisor, and Camelot is thriving. Guinevere and Lancelot's love quietly grows during this era, and Morgana schemes in the shadows, unseen but ever watchful. Arthur has become confident. He's brought peace and goodness to the land, and he's forgotten that evil lurks where you never expect it. Gawain is a proven knight of the Round Table, and is fiercely loyal and deeply respected. His pride and fiery nature, however, still simmer beneath his noble demeanor, setting the stage for future trials. A note on Gawain. Since he's already a proven knight and we did a major time skip from the wedding of Arthur and Guinevere to now, you could find ways to Easter egg Gawain in as a much younger knight or even a squire during that period, and now have him be someone who is at a point where he's one of the best knights of the Round Table. Percival's journey begins on the road, where he encounters the legendary Lancelot. Awed by the knight's grace and power, the wide-eyed peasant follows him to Camelot, driven by admiration and a dream of knighthood. His innocence and unshakable determination set him apart, even as he stumbles into a world far beyond his understanding. This era is defined by a few key events, starting with Gawain's accusation. Gawain, under Morgana's manipulative influence, accuses Lancelot and Guinevere of desire for one another, noted by his absence. This shatters Camelot's unity. Percival stands forward and volunteers to defend the queen when no one else will. Though he is young and unskilled, Arthur knights him. This shows Percival's heroic qualities that we'll see much more of later. Lancelot returns wounded, but despite this, defeats Gawain to clear both his own name and the queen's name. Guinevere and Arthur beg Merlin to save Lancelot from his wounds, despite Merlin's warning that it is against Arthur's best interest to do so. Lancelot and Guinevere's forbidden love leads to Arthur forsaking Excalibur. Morgana seizes power and Merlin is trapped. Morgana, using Uther's own trickery, conceives Mordred with Arthur, ensuring the destruction of Camelot. This period ends when Arthur is struck by lightning, a sign of divinity punishing him. He is weak, and the realm suffers with him. The Grail quest is a pivotal moment for Camelot, as most of the Round Table knights die over this long period of time. Percival playing a central role in this search for the Holy Grail, a sacred relic that could restore King Arthur's glory and heal his fractured soul. During this period, Morgana, embittered and emboldened by her dark magic, has fully embraced the power she once sought to control. In her bitterness towards Arthur, she manipulates her son Mordred, raising him as a weapon against her brother and his precious Round Table. Morgana's ambition to see Arthur's downfall pushes her to dark extremes, manipulating those around her with subtlety and force. Now that we've covered off the main cast of Excalibur, let's talk about how you might utilize these figures in Pendragon. Lancelot, Arthur, Morgana, Merlin, and Guinevere are likely the only 5 figures that cannot be replaced by a player knight, though feel free to take this base framework and make it your own. For all of the characters that we mentioned, I would recommend giving at least one famous trait and one famous passion to the character according to how they behaved on screen. As for the martial quality of the player knights, there are only 2 other martial knights that I think should always be stronger than the player knights. Lancelot, who's deemed to have no equal, should always be ahead of the player knights, and Gawain should be someone that is likely to be ahead of the player knights so that he continues to be looked up to. Player knights who are created from the Boy King period and forward should be built as starting knights with higher potentials. They are youthful, but should have qualities other knights do not. I would recommend at least 1 passion and 1 chivalrous trait at 16 or above to represent the fame they will need to join the Round Table. Player knights are the heart of the story. Choose to give them iconic deeds, tie them to key events, or create their own legends. They drive the action and shape Camelot's fate, making them central to the game's epic tragedy. And there you have it. In Excalibur, player knights shape Camelot's destiny, but they do so alongside pivotal characters like Arthur, Lancelot, and Morgana. Together, they carve out the legend, where every choice tilts the balance between glory and ruin. Caveat for new players: if you have no idea what this role-playing thing's all about, but it interests you, head over to Chaosium Games, pick up the starter set, There's a solo playthrough that kind of teaches you the whole game. It'll teach you how to run things. And if you just want to experience Pendragon and you don't care that much about Boorman's Excalibur, I've already mentioned the starter set. Pick up the core rulebook over at Chaosium Games, and the Great Pendragon campaign, which can be found at DriveThruRPG in PDF format, will walk you through multi-years worth of adventure. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you'd like to see more, please like and subscribe. This is a video series, so there will be another video coming in February.